Um, so I just wanted to introduce Vincent Robinson, who will be presenting on behalf of Show and Tell. And he did his introduction. He's been with us. Well, he hasn't been doing it for 16 years, been doing it for what, about a year. But anyway, he's going to do our presentation. So I'm going to take it away, Vincent.
Yeah, thank you, Yvette, and thank you everyone for being here. I already kind of gave my introduction, but just a little bit more background information about myself. I'm currently a student in Denver, and I study psychology, and so that kind of got me into this work. Just really wanted to start helping marginalized communities that don't traditionally get healthcare or education services they deserve. And so it's been really fun being with Show and Tell and kind of getting to see the lay of the land in Colorado and just how all this comes together in one big system. So I wanted to start by just inviting all of you to close your eyes and letting me paint a picture for you all. And so I'll give you a second to do that, get really comfortable, just breathe, and then just let me paint this picture for you. You walk into a doctor's office with your firstborn. You're excited, nervous. Your child has been showing some signs of not necessarily being as active as you thought they would be at this age, but you're still optimistic. So you go to the doctor. After a lengthy doctor's visit, your doctor gives you the news that your child has an intellectual or developmental disability. Still processing that news when the doctor asks you if you have any questions at all, you can barely muster enough wherewithal to even nod your head. Thoughts start racing through your head. This doesn't happen to people like me. This happens to other people. What am I going to do now? Frustration, anger, confusion, and all these other emotions that we all know too well. Mainly because we're conditioned to think that, think of the worst. So sometimes when we get that diagnosis, it seems like the doctor's forecasting our child's life. The doctor's forecasting that our child is going to have a very rough and tough life. But that's where we come in. As Parent Resource Centers, we're here to provide the umbrella of resources, if you will, that turn that cloud into a ray of sunshine under which we support and collaborate with our families. By embedding ourselves in the community, individuals with IDDs are able to pick and choose the tools that they think are useful, not anyone else, the ones that they think are useful. This environment of advocacy promotes independence as they enter young adulthood and find their place in society. With that independence comes fulfillment. And as we know, with fulfillment comes happiness. And at the end of the day, I think that's all any of us want for our families, friends, and loved ones with IDDs or not. And I'll ask you to open your eyes. And so Sherelle cues up the video. Just give a little bit of explanation on the video, and we'll also talk about it after. But these are what we think are really great examples of those with IDDs in the community, post-transition, doing the things that they want to do, whether that be the work sphere, continuing in academia. And we found that these individuals really felt fulfilled in their lives, and we wanted to highlight that. So without further ado, transition to responsibility presented by Show and Tell.
Student at Nevada State College and have been going here for more than 3 years now. In that time, I have learned a lot about the various resources my college has to offer. A major resource that I use to help me with my classes is the Disability Resource Center, or the DRC. Being on the spectrum myself, I am blessed to have access to perks like extended time on quizzes and a note taker. I usually just use the extended time perk, but I did try using a note taker back when I took my math class. The DRC office has been critical in my success as a college student, and I don't want to think where I would be without it. But the good news is that my school isn't the only one that has a DRC office. Lots of colleges around the nation have DRC offices that help students with disabilities. If you're watching this and you're a college student with a disability, try and see if you can find information about your school's DRC office. you have nothing to lose. And if you're a parent who's watching this who has a child in college with a learning disability, show them this video so that they know they have options.
Hi, my name is Zoe Grise. I'm 21 years old, from Colorado Springs, Colorado, and I moved up to Denver to study here at the University of Denver. I study English with a concentration in creative writing, minoring in theater. I'm very involved on the University of Denver campus. I'm on the programming board where we host all of the events for the undergrad student population. I am a PUCSTA scholar, a social justice community, working to enhance community engagement and community organizing. And I'm also in the honors program at DU. I'm very passionate about creative writing. I love storytelling. I love world building and character development. But I also really prioritize disability representation. That's what my PUCSTA Scholars Program project is. It's making sure that there's disability representation within higher education. And also in my creative writing, I'm writing where there's disability representation beyond just a source of inspiration, where the characters are actual deep, complex characters more than just a stereotype. So there's this common concept called inspiration porn, where anyone with a disability is often seen as a source of inspiration for able-bodied people. And I'm actively creating an honors thesis where I'm creating characters with physical disabilities, but they just happen to be the main characters, where they can be the love interest, they can be the funny side character, they can be whoever they want to be, because that's an actual representation of disabled people. We're just like anyone else, we can be any role in the characters. Disability representation in stories and also in higher ed is so important to me because growing up, I didn't have that representation. I loved my Disney princesses. I loved like Katniss from the Hunger Games, but none of them were disabled. And it made it very hard, especially as I was getting older, looking into colleges and not seeing myself in movies, TV shows, even in the college advertisements. It made it very hard to be like, oh, I could go to college because there was no examples before me. I have spinal muscular atrophy, which is a neuromuscular disease that only affects physical ability. In high school, it was very hard because I was constantly told that my high school had never had a student like me who was just physically disabled but needed accommodations for like the ACT, SAT, and AP exams. So they often would fall behind on how to accommodate me. And then when it was finally time to apply to colleges, they were also like, we've never had a student apply to colleges before. And I was like, that's a lie. So I basically was just left by myself to figure it out. Luckily, I have a wonderful mom who was just like, we're gonna do it. We're gonna figure this out. So like my college career counselor didn't really offer me much support. And then the transition was just me and my parents and the community of people who also have SMA and people who have similar disabilities, just giving their 2 cents of what they've done. The obstacles transitioning from high school were just thinking of every possible what if scenario. That included, what if I didn't have nursing to help caregive for me? What if I didn't have a hospital bed, so I can't sleep in a dorm bed? What am I going to do about that? It was just a lot of worst case scenario planning for about 2 years. My junior and senior year was just constantly considering all the possibilities, and mom and I just working our way through it. DU is a little better than my high school. They actually know that disabled people exist, so that's a good start. The disability services program is great when it comes to like in the classroom accommodations. I always get double time, peer note takers. I have like a special desk for if I can't sit at the normal desks. However, DU itself is not physically accessible. I am constantly asked to go through the back door, to wait on physically able-bodied students to take the elevator before I can take the elevator to get to class. So it's better in that like I'm included in some aspects, like there's less academic barriers, but there almost seems to be more physical barriers. I have actually created a community kind of. I know a bunch of younger adults with my disability who are at DU. I brought them to DU kind of because when they were seniors in high school, they asked me for tips and tricks, and I just recommended DU so strongly that now they're here. So I have them as a little community. I hang out with one of them all the time. He comes to my dorm or I go to his. And then the other one, I just see him when we do a little head nod, and that's the extent. My Fuchsia Scholarship Program has evolved from just disability representation in the media in general when I was 18 years old, and I was like, I'm gonna change movies and TV. And then once I was exposed to campus culture and campus life, I realized that there needs to be disability representation on campus before there can really be, before it can grow and it becomes normalized. So now my Fuchsia project is creating resources and handing them out to young adults, usually with just SMA, my diagnosis, but I also help other physical disabilities as well. And I give them the tips and tricks that I used to maintain independence or pursue higher education. Sometimes they just want to get out of the house. They don't really want to go to college. So I help them with nursing. Sometimes they want to do community college, but they still want to live at home. So then I offer them disability services recommendations. But yeah, it's just been a work in progress, and I'm actually going to create a webinar series. And I'm going to create little chapters where they can just log on, watch a 2-minute video on how to get Social Security, watch a 2-minute video on how to get nursing, and just like baby steps are very important. And I'd say like quick final advice for anyone who was in my place 4 years ago would be to not limit yourself. Because I know it's very easy to just be like, oh, I can stay at home and like, oh, I'm so comfortable with where I am. But even a baby step of like, let me go to community college is a big step because you're getting out of the house and you're not just limiting yourself to your caregivers, your home caregivers. You're exploring the world. I moved to University of Denver, which was 45 minutes north of my home. And then now I'm about to look at grad schools, not even in the state. So it is possible. Baby steps are okay. Big steps are okay too. But you don't have to limit yourself based on like the lack of representation or what you think you have to do.
Aaron Morgan Bills. Denver, Colorado. I think it's goals. I think it's goals. Dreams, statement, yes. I think it, let's look at it just in myself and just put but just you just look at me myself and then just you do it when you I'm just sitting and doing nothing to me. And goals is like I think it's like just better goals. It's like 80% goals. A little bit sometimes. This is great goals, and good things. You'll find something to do and then just keep it up. Get it over just easy. I think that's the fun on easy. I think it's in my hands and then I do it at church I'm doing this in my hands. Anyway, church is really better on my men's group. Men's group is with me and I go to like a men's group. Anything is a men's group better. Workers.
My name is Tiffany Fixer. I'm a former special education teacher, and I founded Brewability. We're an inclusive brewery and pizzeria in downtown Inglewood. We employ 26 adults with intellectual and developmental disabilities, including individuals who are blind, deaf, have autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, and terminally.
Hello, my name is Aaron. I work at Brewability. And the thing I like about working here is getting the people and money. I just think it's a fun job to do.
Nick
Eckerling, Nick Eckerling. I sweep and I do trays and bathrooms and everything else. I used to live with my parents. And then, I live by myself. What do I think about the people I work with? I think they're very, very great.
Hi, my name is Jacob Booth. I am a pizza company group. It's Mobility. What I love about working here is giving back to the community, giving, good pizzas, good service and good beer, good homemade beer too. Working with people that have disabilities and being very inclusive is really good. It brings out, the best in people by just realizing, oh, it's not bad actually. I mean, they do their jobs, with to the full extent and just, do stuff that is to their own desire.
There used to be places like this and not necessarily. A lot of the accommodations don't necessarily need to be on physical things. We are here because we have the skills. And it's just about what we can do. It's just not about, being able to, and it's scared of not allowing us to do something because we can't do it, or expecting it too much. It's a very good medium.
You want me to let it play through, or are we good?
I don't know what happened. It's dragging and
I was gonna say, no, that was the end of the video. Thank you for playing it.
Was it did drag a lot? Okay, because I'm like, it played perfect on my end, so, oh, bummer.
it played perfect before I sent you, but
Yeah.
sometimes when you do, I've done this before and like, to you, it sounds great, but then it's
Right.
like, yeah.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
audio was totally fine. It was just the visuals that lagged a bit for me.
Okay.
Yeah, it lagged.
Well, the good news is that Ceci's gonna send it out, so everyone will have it. So you can utilize it. So that is a good thing.
Mhm.
Vince, Vincent, were you the one that put this together and asked all the questions?
It was like a combination of me and Jason. So Jason is our social media manager. So we collaborated. And so, yeah, as you can tell, that's 3 different videos. And so like for the first one, which one was the first one? Obviously the first one was him. The second one, like I did those interviews, and the third one kind of collaborated. So
I loved it. How do you imagine other parent centers to utilize this, or how will you guys use it at your center? Like, how do you imagine other parent centers to use this?
can I answer this a bit? Oh.
Yes.
So for us, we're gonna definitely post it on our socials. We're gonna post it on our website. Since obviously being a parent resource center, most of the families we deal with, we're trying to give them resources for the after transition age. I think the people in this video, I think they're like really good examples of what's possible. To like Jason's point, and actually Zoe, so the girl in the wheelchair, like she said, she was going through high school and people were telling her, like her staff was telling her, this was the first time they've had a student like this and had to make these accommodations. And even though that sucks for Zoe, it does create a pathway for more Zoes to come along. And it's the same thing with Jason. Like Jason is doing the same thing, figuring out like the disability resource centers at his university. And so I think when we, as parent resource centers, are trying to help families and talk about what's possible, sometimes it's so hard to see what's possible unless you actually see it. I know that seems pretty like self-explanatory, but to the point earlier about what we think when we get a diagnosis, we never think about, oh, my child is still going to just go live a great life and do the things they want to do. We always think the worst. And so seeing a video like this, you're like, you know what? There is hope, there is possibility. And it's not just from birth until high school completes. It's for life. It's not just a set amount of time. And so I think that's what we want to stress is like the unconditional help and resources that we can provide through a lifetime.
Yeah. I have more questions, but I want to open it up to anyone else who may have questions.
I just want to say I thought it was so well done. I think Zoe, I think you said the girl in the wheelchair. I thought her story was so important because we do hear a lot of stories where high schools and transition programs are successful because that's what we do and that's what we want. But like I had the exact same experience. Both my private and my public high school were basically like, sucks, good luck. And if it weren't for my mom, you know, that I would have had a much different path. So I think it's really important to show that even if your school is not in your corner, it's still possible.
And thank you for one. And also, I think there's definitely something to be said about, society's comfortability with people on the spectrum or that have intellectual developmental disabilities. And so I really wanted to highlight, for instance, like Alan and then some of the employees, because like, yes, they're like maybe low functioning, but that's just the reality of like what the world is. The media always shows like super high functioning people with autism. And it's like Joe said, like it's inspiration porn. It's like celebrities. But that's not always what, our intellectual and developmental disabilities look like. Sometimes it is uncomfortable for people to go in, but that's okay. That's just what it is. And so I think like, for instance, like Nick, he was the one like Nick Eckerling. Like, yeah, like the first time you see that, you may be uncomfortable, but like, let's get used to it, right? This should be the new norm. This is how spaces should look, right? So just wanted to add that point in there.
And I wanted to also add with Alan, who had Down syndrome and his mother, and it's always like parents have to be part of it, can't just jump them up to DVR and they're going to do it. Yeah. And so Alan has, like you talked about the men's group. I mean, he has a full life, and his mother, that's like her job. It seems like, I hope she has a life. I don't know if she has a life, but her life, he's in men's group. He used to work for the Broncos store because he's a huge Bronco fan. They let him, he worked in the store with the merchandising. He does so many things. He is in the community. And even though, and if you spend a little more time with Alan, you'll start understanding what he's saying. It takes a while. But I think it was great that we did showcase him. That, somebody who you can't understand them right away, but that didn't prevent him from getting a job or prevent him from being in social groups. So I just think he's just a great example of that.
Vincent, do you guys have I was trying to, when I watched the video earlier, I was trying to get the information from the infographic about the representation in the media. Do you have that document that you could share?
The one that was in the video?
Yeah, I think the one is it Zoe? I think when she was talking
Zoe.
about representation,
We can grab that for you, yep. And I can email it out to you. Mm-hmm.
And then my other question, I love how you started this presentation. Like I love the visualization, and I'm like, can we use that? Like I'm just thinking, like, when you go out to other businesses and you're trying to explain what it is that you do, like that is the perfect way to get people to understand like what parent centers can do and how they help families. I just like the visualization, like the calmness of it, and just I loved it.
Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm a big fan of like making people feel. And I think when people feel or see like a visceral reaction, that sticks with them longer. So, and everyone's been to the doctor, even if you haven't taken a kid to the doctor, like, everyone can visualize going to the doctor and receiving bad news. That's everyone's worst fear, right? So thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. That you got I've always loved talking with your staff. So you guys do great work. I love it. Anyone else with questions?
I just want to tag on what you just said, Cheryl. I also really like that because I feel like you said it's everyone's worst fear to get bad medical news. We always say, as long as the baby's happy and healthy, but then it shows that's not the end of the world. It's not necessarily your worst fear. If someone gets a diagnosis, then you can start getting the support. So I thought that was really effective.
And I just wanted to make a kind of a comment on that. When my son was diagnosed, I had a sense of relief.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had a sense of relief because I knew that it wasn't me that was causing the problems. I knew it wasn't my parenting. I knew it wasn't anything that did with me. My son was diagnosed with autism, but not until the age of 11. So it was a higher functioning autism. But So yeah, we thought it was ADHD. We thought it was just behavioral. I ended up working in the school in the special ed program so that I could be there to kind of help things. And so for me, I had a different view on it because I was excited. When I found out, I called my husband and says, guess what he has? I don't know what he's, but guess what he has? And it was, we had something to research. You know, my son's 26 now, so this was 15 years ago. And so the information back then was practically nothing. So anyway, I wanted to kind of put that spin on it too, because you will have parents that have that sense of relief going, oh, it's not my fault. I'm okay. Because that was a huge thing is us as parents feel like it's our fault that we did something wrong and that we're not parenting right and whatever. So I just wanted to share kind of my perspective, because I hope other parents feel relief as well and not just dread when they find out what's going on. Anyway, so I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, when Vincent shared that with me, we did talk about this. It's not going to be, everybody's going to feel that way. There's going to be, someone's going to have a different story. And here you are, Sarah, sharing your different story. And not only that, but there are young people who realize like, oh, okay, now I'm not stupid. Like I have a learning disability. Or I receive things differently. And all this time I was feeling I was stupid, or all this time I'm feeling, and then they tell me I have this thing that my brain works differently or whatever, you know, and so that's a relief too.
Yeah, it's a form of empowerment. And when you get that empowerment, nothing can stop you.
Exactly.
And that was just for our little family back then, you know, that was amazing. And I'm glad we got the diagnosis. So, but anyway, I love the perspective of getting that bad news, because we do get bad news as well. So,
right.
And I really, really loved the diverse examples on this video, because it kind of hits many different facets, right? The invisible disabilities, the physical disabilities, and the intellectual disabilities, and you know, I love having that diversity. So thank you for putting that together.
Yeah.
I just want to say again, I was diagnosed with autism in my 20s. And when I was diagnosed with my chronic illnesses, there was absolutely a grieving period. That was a sad diagnosis for me at first. And when I was diagnosed with autism, like you said, Sarah and Yvette, I felt free. I felt empowered. I stopped trying to figure out what was wrong with me and started trying to figure out how to live a more authentic life. So I think absolutely and it can be both. I mean, I know a lot of people who have grieved their autism diagnosis and then years later found freedom in it. So it's a great conversation.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it's this funny cliche that sounds, right? It's a spectrum, right? Like of emotions. Everyone just kind of reacts differently. But I like the idea of what you said. I think that was Quina. I hope I didn't butcher your name. I'm sorry if I did. Okay. But just like giving you something to like Google per se, or giving you something to research and like actually naming it is a big thing. Just naming it, right? And getting out of your own head, and like you said, your parenting and being like, okay, it's not me. I'm not going crazy. I'm not doing anything wrong, right? So I like that point a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, you guys have given us some good things to work with. Yes, this is great. Thanks, Yvette and Vincent.
So Sherelle, what do you plan to do with this? Is this going to the rest of the COP, the community practice?
Yeah, so what Ceci does at the end of a community practice, she sends it out to the group and allows them to utilize it. I also put it in my report, but I go to a RAISE summit with other RSA centers in May. And so then I'll share this with them again, saying here's a resource that one of our CPRCs put together. And so the goal is to get it out.
Right.
And to share it. So yeah. So it will be shared. And that's why I was asking, like, how do you see other parents that is utilizing it? So when I explain it, I'm like, this is a way that you guys can do that. And so yeah.
Okay, great.
I do want to just comment also, as a parent center, I think we do this amazing training called Imagining a Great Life. And it's sort of, it's outside of the perimeters of, state agencies, as a family, how we can help our young person achieve their best life and how that can look all sorts of different ways. And for us as parents to empower them and allow them to make mistakes and try things, and not to sort of barricade them from the world of like, they can't work, or they can't possibly, take the bus, or they can't all those they can't because of fear,
Mhm.
really out of wanting to protect your child, because I think there are children regardless of their age. And so it's a really great training that we do, and the concept is there of like, let's think higher, let them try things, and if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work, and if it works, then they surprise you, right? With the ability to do a job, or to participate in a volunteer position that you just didn't ever imagine possible. All that to say, it's great in theory, but I love this video to like add it as here's some examples, like some real tangible things that you can see. It happens. It's not just an idea. It's not pie in the sky. It's not a dream. I can't tell you how many parents I've said, no, my child, no, you don't understand. They're in a chair, they're very hard to, their language is really, and so I love this. Thank you guys for putting it together. That's all I wanted to share.
Mhm.
Awesome. All right. Well, I don't have any, or I guess say any other questions. I have a couple follow-up things. If you guys have a few moments. Last month we sent out an email about Transition Tuesdays and Workforce Wednesdays social media. And I don't know if you guys got that, but so Quinna had created some documents that you could just automatically upload to your social media and utilize, or you can create your own. I wanted to know if you guys are finding that useful. That's something that we got from the Ray Center, and it was created by their youth council for other youth. So just kind of another way to add to social media without you guys having to do the work. Is that something that you find useful? Because they're going to send it to us every month. And so our goal is to also continue sending it to you guys, but you guys have some things to post.
I don't know if my staff has that, they get that raised email.
Okay, so it's not, so Raise is sending it to the RSA centers directly,
Oh,
and
I
we're
see.
sending it out to you guys.
But so when I'm getting something from, well, okay, is that the zipper that I'm getting, the raise?
So
Where is
Raise
raise
does,
coming
I
from?
know it's Raise does send out stuff too, but this particular like social media stuff, they're sending to us to give to you guys.
Okay.
Well, that
I
was
don't think we have it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Did you guys get, I don't know.
We may have, honestly, I know we've just been putting a lot of energy into this video the past month, so it might have got lost in the
Well,
email, so.
Understandable. So we'll have another one that comes that'll be sent out for the month of April, and like I said, once a week. It has 4 or 8 social media posts for 4 for Tuesday, 4 for Wednesdays that you guys can just, and like I said, Quinna also mocks up some, so it's just not, you don't even have to do the work, just post it from directly what she
So,
did. Oh, go ahead.
I don't think that Justin, who does our social media, gets that. So
Okay.
I have to give you his email address. He'll
Okay.
be on your mailing list.
Yeah, perfect. I can definitely do that. And do
And
you
I
always
was-
just email him on with specific social media so I don't bombard him with all the other things too?
Yeah, just the social media.
Okay.
Thing, that's
Okay.
it.
And I was going to ask as well, because I'm the one that's coming to these now, and I've not been receiving any emails.
Okay.
They go to my supervisor, and she's so sweet and so busy that that's why I haven't been to several meetings, is because she hasn't passed along the emails to me so that I can join. So if I put my email in the chat, can I also be added and get this information as well? Just
Absolutely.
I'll put his in
Okay.
the chat too.
Perfect.
Just want to let you know it's not as streamlined, but if you ever do need the link to a community of practice, that is posted under Project Power on our website. There's a little link there each month.
Yes. And Ceci will include that in her follow-up, the email. So, but Sarah, you'll get that. So I'm like, you don't know how to find it if you're not getting in the information. So we'll make sure to add you to the listserv so you have that.
Thank
So
you. I
you're not
appreciate
getting
that.
emails either?
No, not yet. No. So, but I do get the invites.
Okay. All right.
Oh,
Glad to get you
I was gonna
guys-
say, now that I'm checking, I just wanted to double check. These come directly from Ray's Center, or who would I, like, who
So
should I check?
this
in with?
last one came from Ann Wilson. She's a staff on our team. Sort of come from Ann Wilson.
From Peak, and works for Peak.
Yes.
I didn't get one either, Cheryl.
I'm just gonna put my email in here because I don't think I got one.
Yeah, I think you should send
You
it to all
got,
of
but I
us.
know, so I'm like, I know Vincent's in the emails. I know
Yeah.
Ceci is, because I know Yvette, when you send me like, add these people, I do it immediately. So I'm like, you guys are getting them.
But I didn't give you Justin, so I know.
Yes.
That's on me.
Found
That's
it,
all
I
I'm
found
doing.
it, I found it, yes.
I'm like, don't tell me.
I'm getting it
Sherelle's like, what's going on?
I'm like, I'm trying to be so diligent, guys.